The Mariners' offense was an absolute powerhouse against the Braves. I guess I'll start with this question. I was initially really discouraged by this road trip, really frustrated to watch a lot of the same issues over and over. With the first loss against the Braves, I was like, oh my God, they're not even going to get a series win out of this one. And then they explode 28 runs over 2 games. And there were like individual moments that were great. Castillo having a line drive off his wrist and then staying in the game, things like that. Cal with home run 53, Gino with 2 yesterday. How much can we take from this, though? Because obviously that's skewing towards something they can't repeat. But was this to you a mark of an offense that kind of got its stuff into gear or just luck?
Oh, you hope so. I don't think it's luck because I think they're certainly capable of that, especially when you look at their lineup 1 through 9. But yeah, you hope this is something that they take forward. They're not going to score 18 runs every game. That would be amazing.
Not with that attitude,
Gary. Yeah, yes, my fault. But it was. It's what they're capable of. I mean, they're a lineup that's full of thunder, and they're capable of hitting 2-3-run home runs constantly. They're capable of traffic. They've been at their best this year, not only when they've hit home runs, but when they've drawn walks as well, and they drew a ton of walks in the 2 games. So in terms of back-to-back games, you hope it's a sign of things to come offensively. And you're right. You're right to be frustrated before that because it was a super frustrating road trip. It was interesting. I kind of think about it. The 3 different series were all kind of different. The Tampa Bay series was just bad. Mm-hmm. They gave up a ton of runs. Their pitching got torched. It was just a bad series. Cleveland was frustrating to me because I felt like they kicked a game. Had they won that one, they would have won the series. And maybe you think about the Atlanta one differently as well, because even the game they lost to Atlanta, I thought they played well. They were facing Chris Sale, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, who looked like the reigning Cy Young Award winner. Gilbert pitched really well, which I thought was great too moving forward. It's just you got late and Spire had a bad day, which happens. So they were, a good Spire outing, possibly away from a sweep, but it was a really frustrating trip, and you just hope that it was a sign of things to come because their margin for error, especially going into the Saturday game, was whittled to nothing. So there's a little more breathing room after a couple wins, but there's not a lot of margin for error moving forward. So I look at this homestand as a big opportunity for the Mariners, not only because I think the matchups at home are really good, but the teams the Mariners are directly competing against have at least one really tough series in this next stretch.
How would you describe Julio's season compared to his other seasons? I think he's an interesting fella. We know that over the past few years, this is how he ends the year, what he's doing now. So how would you compare this season to the ones previous?
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be a great season again. He's going to be most likely 30-plus homers, 30-plus stolen bases, maybe 30-plus doubles as well, with excellent defense in center field. That's a great season. And it's funny because he's getting there in a similar way how he's gotten there before, with a big second-half surge. And so you always end up asking the same question, hey, what happens if he started the season that way? I mean, he's been on such a great pace. That's a hard pace to carry out through the course of the season. So that's a big ask. But it's the conversation that we have surrounding him all the time, right? Where is the ceiling exactly? Because what we've seen this past month, really in the second half, has been spectacular. And we've seen it before. We have seen the stretches where he's one of the best players in the game. And once again, he's in a stretch where he's one of the best players in the game. And so what you hope is he keeps going like this through the month of September and into the postseason and see what hot Julio in the postseason looks like. And then we talk about next year, but it's another phenomenal end of the season for Julio.
Yeah, I think kind of echoing some of Bump's question, I go back to, it's hard not to naturally think of a lot of the criticism that he's gotten this year. And I think even then, wrapped up in any conversation about what he's doing right now is going to be, well, it would be cooler if he could do that for the first half. And I'm just thinking like, yes, undoubtedly. However, if Julio could do what he's doing right now throughout the entire year, he'd be one of the highest paid players in baseball.
Well, Yeah, and the numbers would be totally off the charts. I mean, it's that is such a big ask. It's like it's what I find amazing about Cal's season, for example, is when he hit double-digit home runs in the first month. I remember saying, "Hey, he's not going to hit double-digit home runs in the second
I
month
said the
because
same
that's
thing.
really hard to do," and he did.
And then I said it again.
Yeah, and then I said it again, and he did. But that's what makes an historic season, right? That's what we've seen play out. He's doing things that hitters don't do. And so asking Julio to do that for an entire season is impossible. Could there be more consistency in the first half of the season? Sure. But asking him to take like this white hot stretch and replicating that for the entire season, I think that's too much of an ask. And I understand where the frustration comes from with Julio because he when we see him like this, he's such a great player and he's one of the best players in baseball, truly. And I think the frustration just comes from high expectations. I think fans have high expectations. I think he has super high expectations for himself. I would just say those people having high expectations, I think, is good. Don't let that mar what is going to be a really good season again for Julio. And don't let that mar seeing what he is still a really young player and seeing what he has already done in his career, because this does not happen very often. So I would just say you can keep your high expectations. Don't take this for granted, though, because he's putting together another great season as a young player when you don't see this very often.
Hey, what do you say to people that say, well, it was the Braves? Whatever. The Braves are struggling this year. Excuse me. Me, I take wins however I can get them. I'll take a win in the parking lot against a 3-year-old, Gary. I don't care how I win. What do you say to the people who have that comment?
About the 3-year-old in the parking lot?
I'll fight a 3-year-old. I don't care.
Oh, I don't care. September, a win is a win is a win is a win. It does not matter. Hey, go ask the Dodgers the other day when they lost a series to Baltimore. In fact, the Dodgers in San Diego last week, they had gone a stretch. They went 0-8 against the Pirates, Baltimore, and the Rockies, right? 3 teams that have had bad seasons. September's weird. It's a weird month because a lot of young players on bad teams get chances, and they become factors in pennant races. It doesn't matter who you're playing. And the Braves, they faced Chris Sale in Game 1. I know Atlanta has had a bad season, but Chris Sale's really great. That doesn't take away from him being Cy Young. So, long story short, you should not care. You should not, if the Mariners beat the Cardinals in a series, you should not care that they're a 500 team. If they beat the Angels in a series, you should not care that they're a below 500 team. Mariners just want wins, and that's all that matters at this point.
We certainly don't have a magic number that's clear at this point. We can kind of guess what it might end up looking like. I think, to your point, the most obvious and best thing they can do is just continue to win. But do you think that for instance, AL West winner can get in with fewer than 90? Do you think this is going to be a battle that goes well into September? What are you kind of anticipating here in this final month in terms of the Mariners' playoff hopes?
Yeah. So, it's 2 different conversations, I think. There's the wild card conversation and the division conversation, although they seem by the day to get more muddled. So, I don't have a good feel at all on the win total and what it's going to take, just seeing how this thing has played out. Because as we've watched the Mariners, and it's been super frustrating when you're kind of in watching the Mariners every single day and the ups and the downs. They're not alone in this in the American League. Every other team has been through this same sort of thing. The Yankees are a great example. It was just a couple weeks ago, the Yankees looked like they were dead. And this thing could really go off the rails and they could fall out of the playoff picture. And you fast forward a couple weeks, and they are really threatening Toronto for the division right now. And they could win the AL East. And that is how it's kind of been for the American League this year. And it almost feels like, you know that game when you were a kid and you had the bat and, you had the hand on top and the hand over that and the hand on the top wins. It almost feels like the hot hand at the end of this thing is going to take the division. And I know Houston has the advantage because they have the lead right now, but the Mariners have the head-to-head as well. I really think that this next stretch is the key for the Mariners, this 7 games. If they are going to punch their ticket to the postseason, if they are going to win the division, the move is now in this 7-game series, in this 7-game homestand. Because I like the matchups. At the same time, Houston is playing Toronto. They're playing Atlanta too, by the way. Hopefully they match up with Sale in that series. Kansas City has a couple of tough series, and the Rangers have Milwaukee to start. Like, to me, this is it. This 7 games for the Mariners. The move is now.
He is Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill. Thanks, Gary. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary. Nice sweater.
Yeah, anytime.